Hey everyone, this is Saikel. Many people have been asking how to achieve text animation effects in Unreal similar to tools in Unity. So this video will show you how. First, you need to enable an Unreal plugin called Texturge Pro. After installing the plugin, you can find it under the UI category on the right, or simply search for the plugin name. Once you find the plugin, check the box to enable it. After enabling, the engine will warn you that this plugin is in beta. Select Yes, then click Restart Now in the bottom right. While we wait, let me tell you where to get this plugin. First, go to Epic Official Fan Marketplace and search for Texturge in the top search bar. Then click on the Texturge Pro resource that appears. Make sure the main page has a blue-purple title screen to confirm you found the right plugin. If you like, you can take a moment to look through the plugin's features and description. Next, click on the license on the right, select Personal and process with the purchase. Since this is the only plugin that offers visual entity for text animation, I personally think the price of around $30 is quite reasonable. After the engine restart, go back to the plugin window and click the UI category on the right. You can see the plugin is checked, which means it has been properly enabled. Now close the plugins window and click on the context browser. Right-click on the empty area in the context browser and select the user interface from the context menu. Create a widget blueprint and name it WBP_TextAnim. Double-click to open this widget blueprint asset. The window may pop up on another monitor, so keep an eye out for it. Then in the palette window, search for animated. Find animated text block and draw it into the hierarchy panel. Then right-click the widget, find the wrap with option in the menu, and click Canvas panel. This way you can position the widget wherever you want. Then in the Details panel on the right, find the text property. You can choose turn off the localization feature. Select the Animated Text Block widget, and in the Details panel on the right, find the Text Animation Blueprint property. If you don't see any assets in the drop-down, click the gear icon on the right and enable the plugin content option. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the preset assets provided by the plugin. Set the animation to TABP_typewriter and enable the autoplay and loop playback properties. Click Compile in the top left corner and you should see the text animation effect. Now that we know how to use animated text, how do we create our own text animation? For this, we need to create our own text animation blueprint asset. First, press Ctrl plus space to open the context browser. Then right-click on the empty area and select the Texturge. Click Text Animation Blueprint and name it TABP_TextAnim. Then double-click to open the Text Animation Blueprint editor. On the left, you can set the preview text and text style. You can see the design viewport update in real time. At the bottom of the editor, there has an animation panel. Click plus animation in the top left to add a text animation. Then click plus add on the right to add a text animation track. Click the plus on the right side of the track to add an opacity subtrack. As you can see, these operations are exactly the same as UMG village animation, so there's almost no learning curve. Next, let's expand opacity subtract. Set a keyframe of 0.0 at 0 seconds and a keyframe of 1.0 at 0.33 seconds. Drag the playhead and we'll see the text is property affected by opacity. Then shorten the animation length to 0.33 seconds. Right-click the text animation track and find the editor track dropdown. Here you can adjust the parameter that control character animation. Change the control mode to per character duration and set the character spacing to 0.2 seconds. Now drag the playhead and we'll see each character revealing one by one, but we can see the character and fully transparent as we expected. Instead, they show a strange animation state. This is because a certain parameter isn't enabled. Let's continue edit the track parameters and enable the invert opacity option. This parameter completely inverts the animation opacity, so that characters are hiding by default. Now let's redo the keyframes. Change the keyframe value at 0 seconds to 1.0 and the keyframe at 0.33 seconds to 0.0. Now you can see our text animation display correctly. But a typewriter animation isn't a gradient opacity effect. So we click the kernel button at the top of the panel to open the sequencer kernel panel. Change the interpolation mode to constant, so the character appear instantly. Alright, now in the My Blueprint panel on the top left, find the Functions section. In the Override dropdown, select to override the Select Default Animation function. Click Graphite in the top right to switch to the Editor's Blueprint Graphite. Double-click to open the Select Default Animation function. Drag the new animation variable from the left into the function Graphite to get new animation, then connecting it to the return value. Then click the Compile button in the top left and return the widget blueprint. Switch the text animation blueprint to our customer version and it will take effect. If you don't see the change, try recompiling the widget blueprint. And that's how we create on our typewriter animation. Of course, we can also add another effect to the track. For example, we can make text slide in when entering the UI. This can be achieved by editing the translation subtract keyframes. Here, for instance, we make the character translate 10 units from right to left, but we still see the character and display the animation correctly. This is because our opacity animation cuts the characters to only visible at the last frame. As long as we delete the last keyframe of the opacity track and change the first keyframe to 0, the animation will display properly. Now let's switch back to the widget blueprint and we should see the text animation rendered correctly. Next is a very important part. How to properly apply text animation to rich text. This is where the animated rich text block come in. In the palette, find the animated rich text block widget and drag into the hierarchy panel. When first loaded, the widget appears in the top left corner. Note that it may be hard to find this is no default text. Then place the widget at your design UI position. Next, in the Details panel, enter the text Hello Texturge Pro. You can turn off localization if you don't need it. By default, all text in Unreal Engine has localization enabled. After rendering the text, you will see all characters rendered as a purple outline ace. This is Unreal's default base placeholder font style. To render text correctly, we need to configure it the same way as an engine's official rich text block widget. I will fast forward through this part. If you need details, you can check the official documentation. After finish the setup, remember to compile the widget blueprint. Next will be set up text animation. In the Details panel, find the animation data asset parameter. There is no plugin provided version for this asset, so you will need to create one yourself. Open the Context browser. Right-click to create data asset. It's under Miscellaneous, or you can just search for it. In Data Asset, find the Text Animation Data Asset class. Select it and name it DA_TextAnim. Then double-click to open the editor, and click plus to add an animation entry. The animation entry has two parameters, tag name and animation blueprint. Tag name is the animation's tag, and animation blueprint is the animation data. Set animation blueprint to blueprint we created, and set tag name to text anim. Then go back to widget blueprint and select the animation data assets we created, and enable autoplay and loop playback. After this point, you may notice the text animation is not applied, even after compiling. This is because the animated rich text block requires text to property apply animations. We need to wrap the text with anim id equal text anim tag for the animation to display properly. As you can see, once the text is properly set, the text animation displays correctly. Additionally, the animated rich text block can display multi-text animation within a single text through the animation data asset. For example, we can add another bounce text animation to the asset. Use the plugin's built-in tabp_bounce text animation blueprint and name it bounce. Then set the anim id equal bounce tag in the text to display both animations simultaneously. As you can see, both animations display properly, and the effect looks great. These are most common features of the plugin. Additionally, the animated rich text block is fully compatible with all of the engine's official usage patterns, such as inline imagine, inline styles, and more, with obviously no additional learning curve. It's definitely an exciting text plugin and well worth using your project. If you want to learn more about plugins, presets, and features, you can go to the content browsers, navigate to Engine, Plugins, and find the Texturge Pro folders to explore on your own. Inside, there are preset and demo folders. Feel free to browse the asset inside. I won't go into too much details here. To summarize, while this plugin is easy to use and powerful, it does have some drawbacks. For example, it currently only supports Unreal Engine 5.7, and since it is still beta, some features like animation parameterization and animation compiling are still being refined. There may be some asset incompatibilities with 1.0 release version, but overall, it remains one of most powerful text plugins for the latest version of Unreal Engine. I will continue to update the plugin and release new version introduction videos, covering more advanced animation features and blueprint workflows in the future. If you are interested, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment sharing your thoughts on the plugin and features you'd like to see.